Hey, Care Partners, Teresa Youngstrom here. So great to be with you today. Welcome back. Memory Care with Teresa Youngstrom. So great to be with you. As we're heading into the holidays, I thought it was time we should probably brush up on some tips to the trade when it comes to caring for someone with memory challenges during the holidays, however you celebrate your holidays. And so I put together a PowerPoint for you today to follow along, hoping that if you need to stop that and copy any information, you're welcome to do that or share it with someone. Definitely share. Just while we're talking about it, a couple of thanks. I always want to thank Griffo Productions for being an amazing broadcaster, but I want to thank each of you for supporting me like you do. And the best way you can continue to support me is to hit that subscribe button right now. Hit subscribe and definitely share this information. There are a lot of people hurting during the holiday season, caregivers in particular. And so let's make sure we share this information. And I just appreciate you so much. So today we're going to talk about dementia wisdom for the holidays. There's a lot that goes into the holidays. I don't know about you, but it's a really busy season for so many people. So the first thing we're going to do is identify some common holiday traditions and expectations, because sometimes we have too many expectations when it comes to caring for someone through the holidays, especially if it's early in a person's experience with memory challenges, with brain changes, with brain failure. It can be really unpredictable, but sometimes we add added stressors to it and we complicate it. And so let's just talk about what might go on with your holiday. I mean, how do you celebrate the holidays? I mean, are we doing Jewish holidays? Are we doing Christian holidays? We have Hanukkah. Are we going to grandma's? And so does that mean we're going to the person's home who has memory change, or are we taking them out of their place and taking them to someone's home? Maybe we're picking them up at their memory care and taking them out somewhere. And so all of these things add challenges to the person living with dementia. And frequently, I've seen this happen a lot, is that we don't always plan the celebration during the prime time for the person who's going through the brain change. And maybe these are some more activities I'm putting up there. Are you the cookie baker? Are you guys going to decorate a tree? Those of you that are going to have that holiday. And so sometimes we're changing the environment. Sometimes we're having lots of company. I know I have a very large family. I have 7 siblings. And going to my parents' home when my mom was struggling with her brain change, my goodness, take your 8 people, give them all a spouse, give them all children, bring them in, and then let some great grandchildren be there. It could be upwards of 40 people at one location. And so it really, really could be challenging. And then there are other activities. Are you going to take mom to the choir? That might be something fun, or it may be something that she's enjoyed for a long time. Are you going to be eating foods that they're not used to? That changes things up. Did she always love to go to the parade? And now we got to rethink that. Is it going to be right during her nap time or his nap time? So, anyway, what are the potential challenges that come with these holiday celebrations for our person living with dementia? And I've said it a million times. If you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person, and they're all a little bit different. And these experiences are going to be a little bit different now that we know there's more than 120 diagnoses that could be giving them these brain changes. It's complicated, okay? And so we really have to be patient and sometimes just be in the moment with them and assessing, are they tracking with us? Are they following with us? Are they in left field? Are they getting agitated? Are you seeing the hairy eyeballs? And before the table flips over, maybe it would be good to bring an end to that party or remove your person from all the excitement, right? To go back for a nap or something. Maybe it's time to go home. I always base the party on the person with the brain change. When they seem finished, party's over, and we're going to roll like that. You just ask for trouble otherwise. You just ask for problems. You ask for life-changing experiences. I heard recently of a gentleman that got upset. He ended up physically hurting his wife. She didn't know what to do. She 911 that. And it was because there was too much energy, too much excitement. And so then he goes to the emergency room, and then he goes to a behavior unit, and then he is in the system and on the roller coaster with lots of antipsychotic drugs, and until they can get him into I don't know, a condition of being submissive. And I just hate to see that happen, because sometimes we throw them into a system who has a certain way of managing things. Not everybody knows what you all know from all the learning you've done online, paying attention to other dementia specialists, Teepa Snow, Dr. Lamb, the other people out there who are doing this. And sadly, their only means of getting control of the situation is usually sedation, or, giving them something to subdue them until they can get them to submit to what's going on. And so it's really difficult, it's really challenging. And, I feel for them too. I was on the other end of that before, being a nurse for a long, long time, having worked in the ER before. I wish I knew then what I knew now. I wish I knew then when I was a director of a memory care and assisted living, because we definitely made a lot of mistakes, things I would have done differently. And so that's why I'm here today, guys, getting this information out there. We can choose to do it differently, one person at a time, one incident at a time, one moment at a time, joining them on their journey. And when things start to get fired up, you've heard me say it before, we have to join them on their journey. When the energy changes and for whatever reason they get agitated and throw their fist down on the table, or holler at you, or accuse you of doing something that you didn't do, we have to hit the pause button and validate their position. I know. Can you believe that happened? It's terrible. I can't believe that happened. We shouldn't have to put up with this. And can you play along and validate their position and let them feel as if they're right in that moment, until we can de-escalate the energy in the room? Because our human nature wants to fight with them. Our human nature doesn't want to fight. Our human nature wants to defend ourselves. Okay. And our limbic system gets fired up when someone shoots, some threats or a colorful language at us. Our cortisol gets going. And the energy inside of us is, now you better straighten up. I'm here to take care of you. And don't you act like, and that isn't going to solve anything. And in that moment, that would be considered a mistake. Okay. You're not part of the solution at that point in time. You're definitely part of the problem. All right. So we have to learn just to validate their position. When the fists are up, you better be figuring out how to say, wow, that shouldn't have happened. My goodness, I'm going to look into this. This should never happen. I'm going to talk to that charge nurse. I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to talk to the caregivers. I'm going to whatever, get on their team until the energy starts to de-escalate. And then you can redirect them physically or emotionally to another place. Okay. Going into the holiday season, where we're doing different things, we're eating different foods, we're going to different places, we're seeing different people. And your person may or may not be in a condition to do these things. Okay. Let's go along and talk about a few more things. But keep in mind, it's a chronic debilitating brain disease. And so it's unpredictable and it affects everybody differently. I can't say it enough. But the overstimulation can add to the agitation. But sometimes social isolation can lead to the depression, all right, which really isn't. That's not dementia, but a lot of times goes hand in hand, especially if we isolate somebody who would have loved to have been at the party. Okay. Or the person who would love to have been at that social event. More challenges that occur after dementia. So the traditions of holiday can bring a dizzying array of demands. Here's what this can look like. We're planning parties, we're shopping, we're baking, we're cleaning the house, cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. And there are new expenses, which always brings new stressors. We have less time. We're staying up later, getting up earlier, trying to get a million things done, zip here, zip there. Could it be we have unreasonable expectations, right? For you and your person living with dementia. And I want to say yes, frequently. And so I don't want you just to wing it. I have individuals who just wing it. They're like, well, we'll see what happens. No, not good advice. Not good advice. No, hit the pause button on that. Okay. So whose traditions whose needs are the traditions serving? Think about your traditions. Do you bake all the cookies? Did you have everyone to your house for the dinner? Did you decorate the whole house? Did you decorate the place of worship? Did you what were your responsibilities? And now you might have to not do that. So think about this. What do I really want or need from this activity? What does my person living with dementia really want or need? And should the goal be to just endure it? And I want to wholeheartedly say no. Don't just go with the flow. Don't just do it and hope for the best. Okay. I think that's how this gentleman ended up in the emergency room and then in a behavior unit and then headed down that path. And those situations can get him labeled aggressive and can get him labeled to where then, the best memory care that you had picked out for him to thrive in now is unable to take him because we've got these offenses listed on his chart. So let's learn a few more things. So I told you a little bit. My holiday tradition was always very busy because my husband's family and my family all lived in the same city. And so of course one evening we go to one of the parents and do all of that. And then overnight and in the morning we still do this. We do the tradition at our home with our children and grandchildren. And then we go then to my dad's on the actual holiday and we're with all of those people. And so it's a dizzying effect. And because I don't have dementia, it's fun, it's good, and we can all roll with it. Back in the day, though, when my mom was the one struggling, um, pleaded with my dad to do that big event differently and definitely at a different time of day. She might have tolerated things better had we done it, say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon or right after her nap or something along those lines. But if it goes into an evening event, well, that can bring on more challenges because they're more tired in the evening. And so their ability to cope with all the changes and all the extra noise and stimulation can be really tough. And so I'll tell you what we did. We assigned somebody to be with my mom every 30 minutes so that we were keeping a tab on how she was tolerating all of this. And we would tell her who the next person was coming in. So she felt like she had some awareness because of course she wasn't remembering any of these people or their names of the extended family members, and it would upset her. And so to be able to have someone on cue. I remember one holiday I was on with her and people were coming and going. I was trying to keep her filled in as best I could. And then I just remember hearing her say, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go home. And we were at her home. And I said, you know what? I am ready to go home too. And so I said, let's get out of here. And she was in a wheelchair. And so I pushed her wheelchair. We didn't bother to say goodbye to anybody. We didn't need to bring any more attention to this. Okay. We just needed to calmly remove ourselves from the situation as best we could with as little interference as possible. So I took her back to her bedroom, got her something to drink. We rested there a while. I was trying to just keep tabs. It was already into the evening. I could tell she was very tired. It had been a really busy day, and I don't think she had gotten her nap that day. And we hung out about 30 minutes, and then I just made the executive decision to put her to bed. And it was the best thing I could have done, and turned on some music for her that she enjoyed. The familiarity is so important, and went ahead and let her go to bed and just asked everyone to be a little more quiet because grandma she was finished, and her holiday was great. Thankfully, we kept any tables or chairs from flipping over or colorful words being shouted. Those things can go a different way. And so I just want to give you a heads up. Let's plan better. Let's plan, let's plan, let's plan. Okay, let's investigate the solutions for more appropriate holiday traditions. How can we do this? How can we do it better? So, if the person with dementia is still living at home, I want to encourage you to rethink the holiday tradition with the goal to make it enjoyable for the person living with dementia, less stressful for the caregiver, and easier on the family. What? Yeah, seriously, I'm being serious. Maybe we don't have to bake a million cookies. Maybe we don't have to fix all the food at her home. Maybe we do it in shifts. Maybe every weekend in December, 2 families come over, not, a dozen families. Maybe just one family comes over one night during the week or something. There's so many different ways you could do that. And here's just a tip for today. The best generals win because they choose their battlefields carefully. Okay? Choose your battlefield. I don't want you to have a battle at all. But this is unpredictable. And, because she could have an upset stomach when all these people are getting there, or feel like she's going to have diarrhea, sorry to be colorful. She could have indigestion. Maybe her gallbladder's bothering her because we've got all these foods that we're not used to eating. Okay. So sometimes we just make mistakes. So let's be okay with scaling back on some of these traditions. It's okay. Okay. Whether you're the person living with dementia or the caregiver, there are times to retreat and regroup. Retreat. Okay. And who knows? You may get to the point where it's so overwhelming that you guys just stay home with mom and watch a Christmas Carol movie or something on TV. And if she enjoys that, or maybe you sing a few Christmas carols between the two of you and we have an early bedtime. It's okay. There's nobody judging. There should be nobody judging you on how we manage the holidays when someone is not well. Okay. I want you to just really take that to heart and think about it. So, some steps to create the happier holiday: call a family meeting, discuss with the whole family what traditions are a must and which ones are open to change. Okay. How can we change it up? There are some people in the family that never can change anything. We have to have the same decorations in the same spots. We have to use the same stockings. We have to put the same things in the stockings. We have to do things in the particular order. Well, yes and no. And life is changing. Life's always changing. And if you've been here long enough, like me, right, about 6 decades, you realize that traditions will change eventually. And it's okay to implement a change now and then for the better. So, like I said, make good choices. Do you include the person living with dementia in your family meetings? And that's going to be a very personalized and individual answer, because some of your loved ones have great awareness of what's going on and they would be able to be included in good decision making. Others have the anosognosia we've talked about a million times, and they do not see their disease. Okay. And so they would not be able to make good choices. And therefore, any changes coming up may bring added stress to them. So I would not include them in this. Choose wisely who should be there and who should not be there. Anything that's going to upset your person living with brain change, let's avoid that. Let's avoid that. My goal is to bring them joy, not bring them stressors. And there's always a family member who says, "Well, I'm not gonna keep her from whatever," and blah blah blah. I just want to say, well, that could be a 4-hour event of her being upset about something, and she may even forget what she was upset about 2 hours later, but she's still mad because they remember how you make them feel. They may not remember all the words, or you can choose to have someone take her out for whatever she enjoys doing. Maybe she still gets her hair done, or maybe he would enjoy going to see the grandsons or something. And you can come up with an activity so they're not there during that time and we can plan well. Does that make sense? Think about the traditions that we've discussed. What are the musts? What are the should? And what are the, well, maybe we could do it this way. We could do it differently. And then ask for help. If you've been the person that's been in charge of everything, time to let go of the ego and ask for help, for sure. If you're the one who's been in charge of, the church choir, or, your place of worship, holiday events, whatever, it's probably, and you're caring for a loved one with brain change. Okay. You really need to protect yourself. Okay. You really need to take the time to protect yourself. Let's, at large events, assign a different family member right? Every hour or every 30 minutes, like I told you before. This is what we did with my mom. And we let her be able to feel safe. We told her who was coming in, who they were, and how she knew them, and that helped so much. And I was able to head things off at the pass when she got upset about something and said, I need to go home. And she was serious. I agreed with her and said, I need to go home too. And I was able to remove her from the situation and put her to bed. Okay. Know when they need quiet time, look for restlessness and irritability. And what else might they need? Do they need water? Do they need to go to the bathroom? Do they need their socks on? What do they need? They just need quiet time. They need to get away from it all. Put yourself first when it comes to your health, though, guys. Okay. These health habits, you need to be thinking about good nutrition, healthy snacks, physical activity, get your water in, get away. You really need to protect yourself. I know some of you are out there trying to do it all on your own, but let me tell you, this season, it is a season of caring for someone, can eat you alive if you're not careful. And so I want you to ask for help and bring in the help before the need. All right. And you might say, oh, I can't afford that. Well, I bet you if we looked, I bet you there's some friends. I bet you there's some family members. I bet you there's some neighbors. I bet you some nieces and nephews that need volunteer hours, and we could ask them over to rake leaves with grandpa to give you a break or something. There's probably a neighbor who's afraid to ask, but if you said, "Hey, could you come play a puzzle with my mom for 2 hours while I go to the grocery?" You know what? I bet they would. And so we don't always have to pay for lots of things. We were able to make up a calendar and have people choose their shifts. I would just go to each individual in the family and say, "What are your shifts? When can you be here?" I need 3-hour spot here. When can you be here? So that we're sure someone's with mom, she's safe, dad still has a life, and he's not having to do everything for her. Because remember, the filters are out for the people closest to them. And so whoever is closest to that person, for my mom, it was my dad, the filters were out for him and he needed a break because the mouth would really roll. She could be she could be very she could be verbally abusive to my dad inside this disease, and it was the disease talking. For a while, it was him talking because he wanted to explain everything to her, and he couldn't go with her flow. But eventually, he did. He caught on, and he realized how it was just important to bring her joy in the moment, and not try and correct her on anything or try and have to explain why she was wrong about something, and just go with the flow, accept and agree, and go on with things. Um, but it's not rocket science. Somebody just needs to take control of the calendar and look around. And there are individuals around that will help you that you don't have to pay for. We ended up paying for a couple of shifts here and there, and it went from there. Okay. Take time to step away, 10 to 15 minutes alone, time to breathe, time to recharge. Caregivers, this is so hard. And I know it's hard for you to take care of yourself sometimes, but I'm telling you, you will give it all, but you will lose it all. And Teepa Snow taught me that when we try and go it alone as a caregiver for someone living with brain change, she told me more than 50% of those individuals will die first. That's a big number, guys. It's a big number. Don't let that be you. Okay. Don't let that be you. We've got to get help. So it's important for family and friends to understand your situation and have a realistic expectation. So, yeah, truth is they won't all get it. You can try and explain what I've told you to explain. There still will be individuals that'll dig a heel in and think they know better. And they're going to come in asking your mom lots of questions, and they're going to try and explain everything, and they're going to correct her. And that will be difficult. So you might have to limit the time that they're with her because it's not going to go well. But all we can do is share the information and try and train people up on the best ways to care for the loved ones dealing with dementia. But the truth is, yeah, they won't all get it, but that's okay. But we could give them some tools. And so one idea would be to send a postcard out explaining what's going on and so maybe you decide to still have the party, maybe you decide to have it in the afternoon during his best time, but Maybe you've got people coming over that haven't seen your husband in a couple of years, and maybe they don't understand why he's doing what he's doing and how to act. And that can really make people uncomfortable. And so I put together a little postcard. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but to send out to individuals so they would have a clue as to what's going on. So when they got there, it would make it easier and they would know to introduce themselves and not to ask lots of questions, but to maybe relate a story of their connection to that individual. And so I really like this idea of planning ahead and then giving your guests a heads up as to what things are going to look like. And there'll come a time where you can't have the party anymore. But maybe during the season early on you can have the party, but you need to prep the guests so that you can try and have the best time possible. Okay. Playing favorites just means being able to know what are your person's favorite things and then what are the things that they do not like. And let's have a list. Especially if you're in a place, a memory care place or an assisted living, wouldn't it be great if the staff knew some things about mom or dad or your spouse, your brother or sister, to give them a better life? What they like to be called. That's really so important, that they like to sing Amazing Grace and that's something that brings them great joy and can bring them back to a happy place. What activities they like and what activities they don't like. That shower that shower is going to really upset them, but that bath would be okay if we used good technique on getting that done. Keeping the room too cold, that's an instant irritation, and they're going to be quite irritated. So those of you that are the penny pinchers out there trying to keep the house cool and saying put a sweater on, during this season, I'm going to have the house a little warmer than usual, and you might be surprised to find your person is a bit happier too with that. So here's the list here. I won't go through the whole thing. You can pause and look at this if you'd like to. But I just think it's a good idea to have lists of their favorite things so that anyone who comes will have some tools in their tool belt. Okay. How about some advice that applies to all dementia care partners? All right. Acknowledge your feelings. Reach out to family, community, religious, social support, and home care for support. This season of caring for someone is really, really hard, guys. Been there, done that. And who knows, may end up doing it again. We don't know what's coming down the pike, but it is a difficult season and we do need help. Um, I want to encourage you, the care partners, to be realistic in what you're able to do. I knew I had a woman once who was not only taking care of her mother, but who she had brought to live with her. She was also taking care of the grandchildren 5 days a week, grandchildren, young too, both in diapers. And it's like, oh my goodness, you know, I think you're not picking your battles very well. And we need to make good choices there. Um, it won't be perfect and let it go. Maybe you can't keep the house as clean as you want to. Now, maybe the laundry's only getting done every few days. Maybe you're ordering in once a week instead of all those home cooked meals. I'm going to be the queen of grace giving and let you know that it's a hard season and it won't be perfect. We got to let that go. We're going to do the best we can. And that's all we can do, the best we can. But we've got to ask for help. You have to ask for help. Okay. Learn to say no. I know when they call one more time saying, hey, you always did this and we're so excited. We love you to do this again. It might be time to say, you know what? I'm in a very busy season right now. And so I'm going to have to decline this year. We'll look at it again next year. And I appreciate you asking me. It means a lot, but I'm not going to be able to help you this year. All right, write that down so you can say it when they call. They're going to call because you're one of those people that can do it all. You've done it all. But this is different. This is big. Caring for someone living with dementia is big and it gets bigger. It's a difficult season and it grows. And they're going to have more needs going forward. And it's doable. It's doable. But you're going to have to learn to say no. And you may need to avoid traveling. Listen, the traveling thing can really fall apart. putting them in a changing their location is one of the most difficult things we do to people. I mean, taking them to a party is one thing for a couple of hours, but to actually change their location, like go for 2 weeks somewhere or, even staying in a hotel is a huge fall risk because they're getting up thinking they're in their own bed and where the bathroom would be, and now they're tripping over things, and we break hips a lot of times like this, or people just get so irate and the fight ensues, and so I don't want that to happen to you. We may need to avoid traveling. There have been times where we've hired in help to just go ahead and let dad stay at home in the comfort of his favorite easy chair and his own bed and his own food and his trusted dog, um, and let mom go travel with her daughters. Okay, we can do stuff like that, but we may need to avoid traveling with the person living with dementia. So as families grow and change, the traditions will grow and change, and that's okay. Choose a few to hold on to and let go of the rest. Create new ones such as online visits and FaceTime. Maybe exchange pictures instead of gifts. Okay, contain the cost, stick to your budget. Everything's expensive right now. And seek professional help when needed. Okay. Anyway, as you think about heading into the holidays, whatever your traditions are going to be, I just want you to think about what are the musts, what are the shoulds, what are the well, we don't have to do that anymore. And maybe this year we take a break from it. I'm not saying you have to, eliminate any of your traditions, but maybe this year when it's a season of big challenges with your person living with dementia, it might be a good time for you to pull back, say no, pull in. I knew one woman who just decided to, you know, have popcorn and watch a movie with her mom. And that was the extent of their celebration one night when typically they would have been out at a big party with lots of family members, lots of energy, exchanging gifts and all of it, which would have been fun too. But in the long run, she knew that it was a mess waiting to happen, and she had to make good choices. Remember that part about choosing your battlefields wisely? That's what we need to do. Not that it's a real battlefield. You know what I'm trying to say. All right. I'm Teresa Youngstrom. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope that you'll like, share, and subscribe. Please get this information out to other people. That helps us so much as this ministry is growing. We just appreciate each and every one of you. And you can contact me through the website, teresayoungstrom.com. And we do list all the podcasts there for you. So as to be helpful, it's easier to find than going to YouTube or Spotify or anything. And so those are there for you. Anyway, we can be of help. If you need a consultation just for you, a phone, a Zoom, around the kitchen table, we're here for you. And we can do that for you. I'm Teresa Youngstrom. Keep in mind, y'all, you got this.